It is April 10th. It is day 81 of the Trump presidency. And I was right. I am, in fact, going to be getting paid by YouTube now. They sent a second email confirming that piece of it. That's why I was confused. It's complicated. It's different to me than the way that TikTok works, but I gave them my tax information. So that's how I know for sure. And it very explicitly says you will be getting paid. So that's great. That's great news. And yes, to someone's point, it does make it easier for me to devote the time that I am devoting to this and to continue to do so. I still think after day 90, I'm going to change the format a little. I'm going to take some days off here and there. I'll always try to let you know. Maybe we'll come up with a schedule. Maybe we'll do top 5 headlines, maybe top 7. That's kind of like what I'm thinking. I'll have to go back through and look over the course of the last 90 days, once 90 days have passed, how many headlines on average was I doing? And if I were to do 5 or 6 or 7, would that cut the time back a little bit and maybe make it a little easier on me? So I'll figure that out and we can figure it out together. We can have this be a conversation with the class. Anyways, okay, so 4 Democrats crossed party lines and voted for the SAVE Act, okay? And as a reminder, what the SAVE Act is going to do is make it very difficult for married women who have changed their names to vote in this country. And that is because you have to prove that you were born here, that the name that you were born with is the name that you're voting with. And if it's not, you have to show all of the paperwork associated with your name change. And I've heard reports that it's not working for some people. For some reason, there were some videos of people that already had to do this. I don't know if there's states where they've pre-passed this, but in any case, it's gonna really screw stuff up. And I think that, again, the Republicans do best when there is a low voter turnout. And in particular, obviously, when less women are voting, it's going to be more likely to go to the Republicans, clearly. And so it's very understandable why they wanted this. Now, here are the names of the Democrats that voted with Republicans to pass this through the House. It has not fully passed yet. It is headed to the Senate. If it passes through the Senate, then it's going to go to Trump's desk and he'll sign it. He'll for sure sign it. No questions asked. It's sounding like it's probably going to pass. Let's just be prepared that this is probably going to happen. I highly doubt that most of you have the ability or the time to quickly change your names back, but I don't know. I am feeling a little bit fortunate that I have not actually gone through the process of getting married. Honestly, maybe that was serendipity. Okay, so we have Jared Jordan of Maine, Marie Perez of Washington, Henry Cuellar of Texas, and Ed Case of Hawaii. I think it's really important that we follow up with trying to get these people removed from office when the time comes, because they do not deserve to be sitting there. And I believe that most of these people, I don't have evidence of this, but I could probably guarantee you that they're receiving some sort of financial benefit for doing this. Let's just call a spade, especially in this administration. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Okay. So the White House clarified today that the tariffs on China were not, in fact, 125%, as was I don't know if it was a rumor. I don't know where people got that number. I think that the White House released that number. Anyways, long story short, according to the White House now, they're actually 145% for clarification. And so, upon that clarification, the stock market crashed again. And the Dow is tumbled 1,000 points. I believe the S&P is down 500. Long story short, I knew that, here's the thing. This type of chaos, it's not conducive to a strong economy. You cannot, as a business owner, plan anything with this. Even if you are a very large business with a very large budget, here's the thing. This type of chaos also, it rubs off onto citizens. People don't know what's happening, okay? They don't know what's happening. Even the most staunch Trump supporter, I guarantee you that people are going to be holding on to their cash a little bit more tightly because we're on a roller coaster, right? And Trump, even literally just as I was wrapping up, I did one last quick check for headlines, and Trump openly admitted that we're experiencing some turbulence, okay? Because he has to admit that we're going through some pain as a result of the tariffs. And, you know, the people around him are starting to panic a little bit because I don't know what people expected. I don't know. In any case, I think that we're in for a bumpy ride, and I think that companies that rely on people to be willing to spend money are going to struggle when their cost for the product is sometimes, in some cases, double or more. So iPhones, for instance, it's sounding like they're like the next iteration of iPhone is like $2,500 or something. People are not going to pay that, nor should they, nor do they have the money to, even if they wanted to. So maybe for some of these companies, it will become a status symbol to have their product, but a status symbol is not going to make up for the lost revenue. There's not going to be a lot of people that can afford a status symbol for the time being, especially not with all the people that are losing their jobs, etc. Again, it's very clear if you're a logical human being that in order for you to do well, the people around you need to be doing well. Otherwise, eventually that all falls back on you, okay? If every neighbor on my block suddenly gets laid off and their houses fall into disarray and maybe they become emotionally unhinged and violent and the neighborhood goes to shit, that not only drops the value of my home, it makes me unsafe as a person. And also it makes the businesses in my neighborhood go out of fucking business. And this is what like Republicans don't fucking see for some reason. It's like, you need the people around you to be thriving for your business to be thriving. Are you stupid? Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand where the disconnect is or how they don't see that, but I see it. And I think most sane people see it. In any case, so the stock market is going to be a shit show and you're not going to be able to plan on anything. And again, that's why if you happen to have gotten your money out, do not fucking trade right now unless you're just like cool with pissing away the money that you are trading with. Just don't play scared. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if you're investing money that like you can't live without, please don't do that right now. Anyways, there's also been a ton of calls for investigation into insider trading because Trump is admitting it on camera. He literally brought a bunch of people into a room and then on camera was like, this guy made $900 million yesterday. This guy made $800 million, like went around the room admitting it. Then also because he posted on Truth Social, like now is a really good time to buy. They can see that some of the Republicans were trading before that information was released. And anyways, Adam Schiff is calling for an investigation. Other Democrats are calling for an investigation. We'll see. There's no question that insider trading is happening, though. That's not even a question. Not at all. So unfortunately, and again, not surprised, I get a little tiny bit of hope when I hear like, oh, maybe this won't happen. But I was not surprised to hear that the House ended up passing Trump's budget, 216 to 214. And that does include the $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid. So again, if that is a service you rely on, I just want you to know ahead of time that there could be significant changes to your program. I don't know, obviously, what it means, right? Like, no one really knows. They keep saying nothing's going to happen to Medicaid, but how do you cut $880 billion from Medicaid and have nothing happen? You can't trust these people, so please don't. You know what I mean? And I understand when someone just says make alternate arrangements, you probably feel like punching a hole through the wall because what do you mean make alternate arrangements? For most people, there are not alternate arrangements. But it's better to look this straight in the face and understand what's coming than to believe them when they say nothing's going to happen. Don't do that. Just know something is coming, okay? They can't cut $880 billion from Medicaid without affecting some pretty big changes. So buckle up. A plane with 6 House members, the wing clipped into another plane at Reagan International in DC. There were no injuries. Again, when you cut like airport security and all of the organizations that like make sure that flights are safe, this is the shit that happens. Because the next headline is that a helicopter, I can almost guarantee you that the plane situation has something to do with that. I don't know about the helicopter crash because it sounds like that was more a situation with the helicopter itself. There was a sightseeing helicopter that broke apart in the middle of the air and crashed into the Hudson River, and everyone on board, unfortunately, passed away. It was 6 people. They were tourists. I believe they were from Spain, maybe? I didn't write it down. I'm so sorry. In any case, it definitely doesn't make anyone feel safer traveling or doing anything right now. And obviously, like, the headlines are coming so fast and strong. Let's point something out. No one is talking about the Signal chat anymore, are they? Because the chaos is constant. And they were absolutely relying on this to knock that out of the news cycle, and it worked. Anyways, I have a notebook full of this shit, and I'm not throwing it out. The FBI will have to come take it from my cold, dead hands. Sorry, I should not say that because they might. Anyways, RFK is saying that HHS is going to determine the cause of autism by September. Okay, buddy. Good luck with that. Unless you're making it up, which he will. That's not fucking possible, babe. Do you know how much research has been done so far for decades? And we don't have a resolute answer to that. So I don't know what he thinks he's going to do when we've cut all the funding for all the medical research. Anyways, he's going to make something up. I absolutely cannot stand these people. He is a troll. I just literally... Okay, so the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, her name is Bridget Brink. She stepped down. I guess it's been somewhat expected that this would be happening. It's the uncertainty with the Trump administration and the peace talks and Trump's obvious like affinity and allegiance to Russia. I totally get it. She worked under Biden. That had to be the transition from hell. And, I don't know how much farther the United States is really going to get here with Ukraine, to be honest with you. Again, Ukraine cannot count on us, unfortunately. So this is very sad. I'm sure you've been seeing headlines everywhere. There are 200 people dead. Obviously, that is an updated number from yesterday, which at that time, I believe it was only 100. There are 200 people dead after a nightclub, like the roof of the nightclub collapsed in the Dominican Republic. I know that there were several celebrities there. There was a singer from the Dominican Republic, and there were several pro baseball players, and obviously the community is completely crushed. Very sad. I'm debating over telling you a personal story. I think I won't, but let me just say I have some experience with buildings collapsing. That is a very ominous thing to say. Okay, I'll say it. So I was on a porch that collapsed in 2002, where 13 people died. This was in Chicago. Obviously, I'm very fortunate to be alive. This was when I still drank, and so I'm honestly very lucky that I was pretty drunk because it was midnight. And as you may or may not know, people that drink tend to survive car accidents, and the people who are sober tend not to. Your body has a natural reaction when there's an impact like that to your muscles like stiffen up to try to protect your bones, but actually the effect is sort of the opposite. Like it ends up breaking your bones much more easily, whereas like if you are drunk and your reflexes don't work, you're just kind of a rag doll. In any case, I'm fortunate to be alive, and that was a crazy experience. So when I see things like that, I think about my experience with that situation, and I think about how scary it is and how awful it is and just everything that those people are going through, and I am definitely thinking of them. Sorry for the 180-degree sharp turn. But Australia is... so China reached out to Australia publicly and asked them to create an alliance against the United States in this trade war. And Australia was like, no, dog, we're gonna do our own thing. We're gonna do what's in our best interest. I think that China, it's not that Australia and China have a contentious relationship, but they do have like a complex trade relationship. So it's interesting. I don't know why China specifically selected Australia for that. Someone who knows way more about world economics and trade would have to answer that question for you. In any case, no one wants Trump's wrath. I think it'll have to become it's not okay. So listen, the world knows the emperor has no clothes. However, he can also do a lot of damage. And they also know that. So even though he's like a toddler with a gun, and we still have to be very careful. I mean, the world has to be very careful. And it's better for them if they can just completely stay out of it. And right now, Australia has nothing to do with any, I mean, of course, everywhere is affected, right? But like, they're not a target, and they don't want to become a target. So it makes perfect sense that they would be like, no, we're all set. Obviously, because China has made themselves a target, although that is absolutely victim blaming. And I don't care who disagrees with me about that. I understand that economics is really complicated. However, again, the world didn't have any of these problems just very recently. And if we wanted to go in and make small tweaks to our trade policy, it would be a completely different thing. This is insane. This is blowing up the world economy with a stick of dynamite. It's not the same as going in and carefully negotiating a better deal. Like, that's not what he's doing. And actually, I saw so many Fox News clips of people calling him out today, and other like Republicans calling him out and saying like, he caved, he looks crazy, he looks weak, we're not actually accomplishing anything with this, we're just doing a bunch of damage. So anyway, because like, now that he's going back and forth and he's waffling, like, he can't even really use this as a tool, because what is your word worth when you just said, no, we're not going to have a 90-day pause, and then less than 24 hours later, you are having a 90-day pause? And also that raises the question of, was that account on X actually dropping that information for real? When they said there's going to be a 90-day pause, was that a leaker? And is this literally just an insider trading scheme? So anyways, they have major problems. The Trump administration just walked into a shitstorm. So good luck with them, or to them. Not really, like, not good luck, but you know what I'm saying. China has, as part of their retaliation, banned Hollywood movies from being shown in China. And I guess, interestingly enough, that is like a multi-billion dollar industry for Hollywood in China specifically. So that's interesting. I know that California is trying to do its own thing, so I'll be curious to see if that sparks any direct negotiation between California and China. Because obviously a huge part of the reason that California has the fifth largest economy in the world is for sure because of Hollywood, obviously. If not the majority of the reason, right? Anyways, we'll see. Oh, somebody asked me what kind of crystals I have on my desk. I have this one. This is an obsidian orb. I don't know where the one is that fell. I just had a lot of littler ones, like this little piece of amethyst. I'm not like a big like crystals girly, but I have them. I've been doing that stuff since I was like 11 years old. I started reading tarot when I was 11, before it was cool. And now I won't do it anymore. I refuse. I don't want to read tarot. Everyone's doing it, and it's annoying me. Anyway. Okay. So Trump is working to deport Mahmoud Khalil, the young graduate student from Columbia. He's 30 years old. It's going to be probably hard for some of you to remember because there's so many people that this horrible shit is happening to, but they have him in custody. He's here legally, by the way. Like, he's a permanent lawful resident of the United States. Okay. He's a graduate student. He's married, I believe, to a U.S. citizen as well. And they are saying that, he participated in anti-Semitic protesting and organizing. Okay. He is disputing that and saying like that pro-Palestinian, like saying like, please don't kill Palestinians, is not anti-Semitic. So this case, whatever the result of this case is going to be very influential for all of our futures, actually. And it's going to be important for us in understanding how much this administration can twist things in the ways that they choose to. Speaking of the same topic, there is a pro-Israel group. It's a right-wing group called Stop Anti-Semitism, okay? They have asked the DOJ to investigate Miss Rachel. If you do not know who Miss Rachel is, she like sings to babies on YouTube. And she said, I watched the whole fucking thing. She said a prayer for all the kids. She included the children of Israel. She included the hostages. And she also said a prayer for the children in Gaza. And she was praying for their safety and all this stuff. So on her show, okay? And now this group is asking for her to be investigated. Again, if any of these people receive any kind of consequences for like praying for the children in Gaza, we have a really fucking serious problem. That is not anti-Semitism. It's not. You cannot convince me that it is. I think that it is. In fact, you actually can't even convince a lot of the citizens in Israel that that's anti-Semitism, because some of them have been marching to Netanyahu's house asking him to stop the war. And again, he is so corrupt. He is trying to keep himself out of jail. And that, frankly, is what a lot of this is actually about. Him escalating things in the ways in which he's doing that, it's keeping him in power. Because the second that this dies down, the investigation into his white-collar crimes is going to continue and reach completion, and he's going to be removed from office, and he knows that, and he's in danger, and he's probably going to go to jail. And maybe he will be prosecuted by the International Criminal Court at that point. So, anyways, these people are sociopaths, and when I say these people, I mean Trump and Netanyahu and Putin. These world leaders are psychos, and if humanity makes it out of this, I really hope that we have the spiritual maturity not to allow this to happen again. But we will see. Okay, I promised you funny stories, okay? I have two. They're both weird and they're sort of related. Did you know that potatoes contain trace amounts of anxiety medication? Anxiety medication, barbiturates, benzos, actually. Benzodiazepines, Valium, Ativan, and, okay, there's no explanation online for why. Because the screenshot that I initially found, and then I went and looked into it and confirmed it, said that these things were previously thought to only exist synthetically. Okay. That suggests that the potato is creating benzos inside of itself. I don't think that's true. I think it's because it's in our water supply, which leads me to the next story. But if you need a free dose of benzos, it's very low dose, okay? But still, you might feel a tiny bit calmer if you eat some mashed potatoes or French fries. So, Have some potatoes today. Okay. Last story. The fish are also getting dosed with benzos, okay? This is for sure because benzos are in our water supply. So that's why it's like we're watering the potatoes with the same water, okay? That's probably what it is. Stands to reason. So the animals in the oceans and the rivers and the lakes are all being affected by how many drugs we're on as a society, okay? So when we go to the bathroom, obviously, like, the drugs that are leaving our bodies are not getting filtered out of the water. And obviously, it's not enough that if you drank lake water, I mean, you might die for other reasons, but you wouldn't feel the effects of these drugs. But obviously, a fish's body is much smaller than yours, and they sure do, okay? So it actually is having an effect. I had a strange moment where, and if you have never heard this, when you're done with my YouTube video, please go to YouTube search and type in Alex Jones, They're Turning the Frogs Gay. Just trust me, okay? He has a hit song out. They made it into a song, but it's really funny. It's crazy, and it'll probably get stuck in your head, so maybe don't do that. But anyways, I realized he's kind of right, okay? I don't know about frogs, but the birth control, like the estrogen that's in the water, actually is affecting the minnow populations. In some cases, like significantly reducing the populations of minnows because the estrogen is so strong that it's taking the male minnows and it's altering their bodies so that they produce eggs. So it's like literally making them like intersex. Okay, so this is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where I'm going to say Alex Jones was right about this and I was wrong, okay? In any case, here is the good news, or like what makes this funny, is that in many other instances, like with benzos, it's actually helping the animals. So scientists they did a controlled experiment where they took a group of salmon and they had like a control group that were tested and they didn't have enough of the drug in their system to make it have an effect, okay? And then they took another group of salmon and they dosed them with the same amount of benzos that the other fish would have been getting. And they released them both into the wild and they tracked them. And the salmon that were dosed with benzos fared better, lived longer, spawned faster, made it all the way to the ocean faster and safer. Their behavior was like less erratic or fearful, and like their immune systems were stronger. Isn't that crazy? So when you think about all of the climate destruction that humans have done, you can feel a little bit good, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word. That at least salmon got to experience benzos and they had a nice time. And and it helped them survive. Anyways, all right. That was a long show. I love you guys. I hope you're doing all right. Eat some potatoes. Get your benzos. I'll see you tomorrow.